Chat, hello you absolute lovelies. I am just walking out of the very first screening of Superman. I have now seen the movie that for a year I have tirelessly worked on and talked about and promoted, having not seen the film, wondering what the experience would be to before and after the film, like what it would be like after seeing this movie, if I would feel those feelings of like, oh my god, a universe was just born, if I would feel those feelings of like, I've seen a comic book come to life, if I would feel the overwhelming joy of finally having the Superman movie I have waited my whole life for, and that is exactly, I'm so happy to report what I feel right now. I am kind of out of words. I'm kind of pure emotion. I'm overjoyed and ecstatic, and I honestly can't wait for other people to see this movie so I can really articulate it by sharing in moments with them. But I can safely say this is going to be a non-spoiler review to the best of my abilities with language. I'm going to struggle to articulate words because I am kind of emotionally raw right now. Like, I speak for a living, and I am overwhelmed in a way that I did not expect. So this is going to be non-spoilers. If you're new to this page, I cover comic books, I cover movies, I cover TV, read about 50 to 70 comics a week, and I review them all on this page, or my favorite 9 on this page in a weekly live stream, as well as movies and TV. And this has been one that kind of everything has led to. This is a movie I've talked about on Real Rejects on my page at DC Studios. This is not just professional, but personally something that I kind of have been gearing up 36 years for. I did not grow up on the Christopher Reeve Superman. I grew up on Superman comics. I did not grow up being someone that thought they could capture this feeling in movies, because I didn't feel that with, certain superhero films being like this golden age energy and aura. And as a kid, I liked Batman so much more than Superman, and I thought Superman was cool, but I didn't understand the fundamentals. It took me growing up to really start to understand Superman. So this is a really special experience of adult me getting more out of this than I think kid me would have. And this is all of the things I loved about Smallville, but bigger, and with this budget and this scope and this scale, and with these actors that are the characters. David Corenswet is Superman in a way that I can't even articulate. In talking to him and interviewing him, every time I have like 2 pages worth of an idea, he's able to summarize it in like 2 sentences. Like, when you can teach something, that's when you know it. And this man knows Superman because he is Superman. He is Clark Kent. He is this character. And fortunately, on screen, it translates times 100 feet, times 200 feet. It is so wonderful to experience this dude who I've gotten to talk to about Superman, who just gets it, and to see that translated, and to see Rachel Brosnahan, who literally studied the journalist side of things before the comic and movie side of things, to find this role and find this character, is every bit the reporter you need Lois Lane to be, that you want Lois Lane to be. There are characters that steal your absolute heart. Skylar Gisondo is Jimmy Olsen in so many wonderful ways. When I do the spoiler review, I'm really excited to break down Jimmy Olsen and how they use certain comic sensibilities in practical real life sensibilities, and how that really made beats work from the comics and from the tone in a way that I did not expect in this film. The scene stealer for me is the great, the one and only Eddie Gathegi as Mr. Terrific, who is a force, man. He is so terrific. The T-spheres are exceptional. His dialogue is perfect. The flavor he adds to some of the language, and the energy he brings, and the action, everything Mr. Terrific is impeccable. And that is a character I have wanted to see on the big screen for quite some time. We've had adaptations, but the big screen, like, this is the character I wanted to see, and they nailed it. This movie is huge in scale and scope. It is the kaiju in the trailer makes sense because of how big this movie is. This movie is golden age in its tone and texture. It is big and grandiose in its themes. It is so Superman, I actually believe that it can help the world. It is so full of hope and wonder, and so full of joy, and in having faith in people, and it is so full of reverence for humanity. I actually think it can help people and culture and society. This is a before you see it movie and an after you see it movie. This is a movie where you'll remember the first time you watched it. This is a movie where you'll want to tell your friends, but also want to go with them again to see it again. This is hope incarnate, and it's so much more than that. It's goodness. It is altruism. It's Superman, man, and I Didn't know if that would translate in 3D. I didn't know if that would translate in 2025. I didn't know if that would translate out of the pages of a comic book where you're directing and acting in between the panels, like you're kind of guiding the story. I didn't know if you could do that, you know, this way in this format. And to see it done, to see it actualized, to see this crazy array of supporting characters and leading characters that are everyone from Metamorpho, who staggeringly works next to Gardner, who is so specific in the line he walks of unlikable likability as Gardner is. And man, I love the Engineer in a way that, like, I like the Authority, but the Authority is like a commentary on this world. So I was like, how is the Authority, who's, you know, from a world that is a bit of a dialogue about this world, how's that going to blend immaculately? And then Nicholas frickin' Hoult. Let's talk about Nicholas Hoult. For years, Michael Rosenbaum has been my favorite Lex Luthor. He is cunning, he is intelligent, he is articulate, but most of all, he's passionate. Nicholas Hoult is absolutely coming from the Michael Rosenbaum school of Lex Luthor, and he is bringing the heat, man. Nicholas Hoult is incredible, whether he's a war boy, whether he's a warm body, whether he's, you know, pining in Nosferatu. He's incredible, and he always brings passion. Here, he brings that ferociously. Here, you are so enamored with this character, you almost understand where he's coming from, and that is so important with Lex Luthor. You don't understand enough to really, like, this is where I'm at, but you go, man, I see where he's at. I see where he's coming from, and that is so incredible. Now, this is a movie that mainly has been advertised the first act of. There are moments in the third act that sprinkled from the trailers, but mainly the first act. And I'll admit, the first act, I was like, oh no, I've seen this movie. And then luckily that was intentional. They kept it to the first act in the trailer. So by the time you get going, you are smiling throughout, you're leaping out of your seat, you're joyous. And the actual plot has been largely kept under wraps. There are so many twists and turns and surprises and comic moments and bits of joy that I was not expecting. And to be honest, reading the comics, it does enhance it, but you don't have to. As I said at the top, this is the most comic booky movie for comic fans and non-comic fans alike. This is something that you can enjoy if you've never seen a Superman, or if you've read Birthright, For All Seasons, All-Star, and Lex Luthor, Man of Steel, which I highly recommend this week, which I have done this week, and that enhanced the experience, but it wasn't a mandate. This is for absolutely everyone, and it is so important and so big. And James Gunn, thank you for writing and directing the Superman that I never thought we'd get. Thank you, David Corenswet, for being the Superman I've always wanted. Thank you to Warner Brothers for this incredible event. Thank you for watching this to the end of the video. I'm going to do a much longer spoiler full review. I'm a little overwhelmed and kind of inarticulate with emotion. It's my favorite movie of the year, and it's one of my favorite superhero films of all time, and it's one of my favorite comic book adaptations ever, and it is a movie that I didn't think could exist that now does, and I'm ever so grateful, and I am a bit more hopeful for it, and I'm a bit better for it. So, Superman, July 11th. Yes.